What's good with YouTube? You already know a convict's reaction with your boy Flacco, man, where we dive into a whole bunch of issues. We're going to touch base on different YouTube channels, videos, podcasts, movies, books, even sometimes current events from time to time, man. And today I got a special treat, man. Like I said, I want to give some smaller platforms, or some channels that you guys may have never heard about on this platform, the opportunity you got for you guys to see a couple of different channels. So today I'm gonna bring one that I know this individual personally, real sharp individual, man. Someone that at times I reach out to for when I want something that's gonna be raw and it's gonna be a constructive criticism or a constructive view, and they're gonna show me different types of perspectives of things. This is the individual I sometimes turn to. It could be I talked to him for 4 months, 6 months. I'll give him a call. He'll pick up or call me back, and he'll give me the full rundown of what he thinks, man. And it's always a good, long discussion, and we dialogue on different things real positively, man. And that's Biggie from the Working Ex-Con. And this video is going to be interesting. I don't know what it's about. I just seen the title. It's called When Snitching Isn't Snitching, or Is It? And just knowing how Biggie breaks things down, man, I decided this is going to be an important video. So I've been having a little bit of internet connection problems. So I may play this video the whole way through and see how it works, man. But I'm going to definitely react to what he's saying in this video. So here you go. Let me pull this up, guys. Bam. One second while I pull this video up. I'm just going to start right now, guys.
All right, this is Working Ex-Con. Doing a quick video in relation to something that Rascal Josh, the homie, posted. And he done like a survey. And he was bright and early. I'm here at work. He'd done a survey about, basically about dry snitching, telling, whatever. And I went through and I was reading all the comments. And it was actually a dope survey because it engendered a lot of responses and a lot of conversation. And these conversations very...
I'm going to definitely check out what he's talking about.
I remember there was a couple arguments, a couple debates that occurred in that feed with regard to what was telling and who was telling and how could you be telling and what's considered telling. And there was a big debate about dry snitching. And somebody nailed it when they said, look, telling is telling. There are distinctions, and distinctions being, okay, civilians are civilians. They're part of the societal contract.
True. Can't put you...
If you shoot somebody in McDonald's in broad daylight and 47 people are there and the cops come and they're doing what civilians do. You can't be mad at them. Well, you can be mad at them, but that's what you get for being stupid. You did something stupid in a stupid situation and you got told on. Average Joe civilian, you steal his car, what's he going to do? He's going to call a cop. He's going to say, man, my car's been stolen. Right? You get caught in that stolen car, they're going to charge you for stealing the car. Are civilians accountable? Yes and no. In the first situation, clearly Nobody, like 47 people told on you because you did something stupid. Nobody's going to go intimidate or whack 47 people that told on you because you did something stupid. But the concept of telling is you're providing direct information. You're working with the authorities that exist, usually for your own benefit and for your own interest. Wearing a wire, testifying. We went through this as kids. At some point, even civilians will tell their kid, don't be a tattletale. So I had a situation where my two kids, man, my TV was broken. Who broke the TV? Nobody wanted to say nothing. Well, you're all going to suffer the wrath for not saying anything. Well, I could respect the fact that they didn't tell on each other. I might have felt different if it was my older kids and you got a kid and they took too much of something and they're overdosing and the ambulance is there and you're asking him, man, what do you take? He ain't going to say nothing because he doesn't want to snitch. Okay, so now your brother's life is in jeopardy because you're not going to snitch? That really doesn't make sense. And yet it's the same mode of thinking. Snitching, telling, is directly saying, he did it. It's theirs. Let me assist you. I'm going to provide the information necessary, whatever. Whether you're civilian, criminally minded, criminally active, whatever the situation is, that's the definition of snitching. That's what telling is. The more liquid part of it, and this is the reason the term dry snitching developed. It is a term that is used in the criminal world. And I believe somebody said it, and they said it in that feed when they said, look, any telling.
Okay, so far everything that Biggie's saying is pretty accurate. Sorry about the beginning. I'm starting to learn how to do this stuff, man. Telling is telling, period. As civilians, though, there's not really expectations put upon people of what they should and shouldn't do, because in society you need laws, you need rules of conduct. They're not part of that criminal element, so it's kind of hard to hold them accountable if you do something stupid in front of civilians. That's on you. Now, the second part about that there's different distinctions. There is different distinction. You have some people. They may have testified in court. They may have just debriefed. They may have wore a wire. They may have decided to testify against all kinds of cases that they weren't even involved in. And like I said, there's different layers to this, man. And but at the end of the day, it's still telling. You can have all those different distinctive factors, but at the end of the day, it breeds the same result. Now, I like the point he made, like about not wanting to tell on your brother to jeopardize their freedom. What about when it comes to other issues where your family member, other freedom, not jeopardize freedom, jeopardize their life? What if it was their freedom? Is that going to be any different? See, that's the thing about this, man. There's going to be different categories that people are going to wish to look at this. And the bottom line is you're always going to protect your family or put your family first and foremost. So let's see what else Biggie has to say right here, man. Let me see. Full screen layout.
Is telling. Absolutely. That is the way it's construed in the criminal world. If you tell, you tell. Doesn't matter how you did it. But the distinction of what dry snitching is and why people said don't dry snitch is because you are not saying they did it. You're not wearing a wire. You're not testifying. But what you are doing is inadvertently, indirectly providing the lead or the information necessary for them to pursue somebody else.
Stop right there. Now, that doesn't only mean that pursue somebody else. You could be corroborating information. And I did this video yesterday without even knowing that Rascal did a survey or anything, right? And I'm going to bring this up, right? So if you have 4 people who testified or said that this person did it and they're going to get set to testify. Now, just because you have the other 3, you can't sit there and say, well, the other 3 are going to testify. What about when you corroborate information that could be used by lead investigators. It could be used in a court case. Like I said, man, just being on YouTube and saying, oh yeah, that dude's a carnal. That dude was NF. He's a hitter. He did this hit over here. He put in this work. You're basically dry snitching because you're giving authorities information that they could use to corroborate everything that you said. When you have 2 or 3 different channels and they're all saying it, that's pretty much testimony and evidence that they can look into. You get what I'm saying? You can't say, well, everybody already knows it. It doesn't mean that you're allowed to say it. It's basically dry snitching in a way. And that's exactly what he's trying to kind of going into, but not specifically, but that's, what I was talking about yesterday. Let's see what else he has to say.
Prime example that was always used that I remember is you and I are in a car and there's a gun. And the cops stop the car. They pull us out the car. Whose gun is it? And you say, it's not mine. You didn't tell on the other person. You didn't say it's his gun. And you see this all the time because guys will be like, that fool told on me. They let him go. I'm sitting here on a gun charge. And that guy will be out there, put up the paperwork. I never said it was his, and he didn't. But what he did say is, it's not mine. Now, of course, the basis of it should have been before they ever got in the car, the guy whose car it is, they should have had that sorted out ahead of time. Like, look, I got a gun in the car. And you know what? I don't want to be in your car. Or I'm getting in your car. I'm letting you know I'm dirty. I don't want you in my car. And if both people agreed to travel together, they already know somebody's taking the fall for that. And in a situation where you get pulled over and neither one wants to say anything, you resolve that when you guys both get taken to county. One of you guys has got to take the case. Otherwise, you're both going to take it. But that's what the term dry.
See, that's the fucked up situation that people don't understand. You could have a case to where, it's your buddy's gun, his dope, and he knows it in your car, and yet he still wants to plead the fifth or act like it's not, doesn't know whose it is. That right there will turn people into telling on their friend or their acquaintances or their old man, based upon the fact that they should be held accountable for their shit. Every time, look, I got arrested in 2016. I was at a house, okay, and I had about a quarter pound of dope. I just served a sack to somebody. They ran, okay. I gave the shit to some female to hold when they were trying to kick in the door, right? She put it away, and I thought that she put it away, but they ended up finding a sack. So I thought they found the like 3 ounces. No, it was a dude. He dropped his 10 grams. Now, even though he ran and hopped through the window, got away, right? It was shit that I had served, and the dude's no longer there. I took the rap for it, said it was mine. Now, before that, a female, they found coke in the same room, just a little bit. So she took the rap on her coke. After I found all this out, right, this was out there in Livermore. I was trying to take the case for her. I said, look, everything's mine. Can you just put it on me? They didn't want to do it. You know what I'm saying? And see, there's numerous times where people get caught with stuff. They just don't want to cop to it. They'd rather have you go down with them on a criminal case and go down to jail and have to go through the process than them just sit there and admit something that's already theirs. You know what I'm saying? I've seen people time and time again decide to tell on certain cases and whatnot. If you're with someone else and you do some dirt and you get caught up, I think it's almost like you want to either plead the fifth or admit it it's yours. I'm always going to tell people to plead the fifth, but it may be a little different if you're rolling with someone, man, and you know that they have a lot to lose. Like I've always told people, we get pulled over, I'm taking my own shit right then. I'll deal with it in court. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, let's see what else we got here.
Snitching developed on. Look, it goes so far, and especially now in the social media era, guys will record fights. Not only will people record fights, which is providing information, because then you post that and you're posting who did whatever to whomever. Not only will they do that, look, reposting that is dry snitching.
Yeah, true.
Because
You had those guys on that level 4 prison. I think it was in Arizona or Oklahoma, where I think it was Southsiders or Northerners that they were killing the dude in the day room. Even though the fucking guards right there can see everything, these dudes were video camera talking about it, and then they posted it on YouTube. That's basically fucking snitching and dry snitching, the same thing, man. Without a doubt, that's a prime example of that right there, man.
Because if you send me a video of you beating this guy's ass for whatever reason, and I put it on social media or I send it to 10 other people, and one of those 10 other people decides to provide that information, where that information came from, it came from me. Because I shared something that I wasn't supposed to. And I didn't do it with the intent of you getting in trouble. I thought you whooping his ass was funny. But what I actually did was gave a lead. The social media era is full of dry snitches.
Yes, it is.
But there is a distinction. And the distinction is less about, is it any less of an offense because it's dry snitching? It was so that people would understand, and not just the people who lived in that life, but the people around them. You can't say nothing. If you were in prison and you got stabbed and the guy got away with it and you were leaking, you couldn't go to the infirmary and say, I've been stabbed.
Yep.
Because that would lead to an investigation of what occurred. You had to go to your cell and hope you or your cellie were one hell of a seamstress and you could fix the injury. And if you died in the course of it, that's the cost of living that life. If you were from the streets and if you were a part of that type of world and your car got stolen, you didn't get to call the police and report your car stolen. You better go find it. You go deal with it. You go figure it out. Or you go to the people that you know that can resolve it and get your car back. But you didn't deal with the authoritarian regime or the legal system to get that guy in trouble because you are a part of that life.
100, Biggie. 100, man. Excellent, man. Back then, you couldn't say shit. If you got rushed, hit, stabbed, you couldn't say nothing. Drive, like a perfect example would be going to a fucking yard and down south and all of a sudden say, oh, I'm in North Daniel. You know what I'm saying? On purpose and making it be known. They're going to say, okay, why does this guy keep on repeating that he's in North Daniel? He must not want to go out to that line. There was dudes that were like that. You know what I'm saying? They would, there's so much stuff that is unknown. That's basically dry stitching, you know, or they may make comments like, oh, I can't go out to that yard. You know what I'm saying? That's not one of our yards. Oh, it's not a functioning yard. You know what I'm saying? Those are forms of dry snitching as well. And in a lot of other people's eyes, it would be considered a cowardice act.
And this is where it's separate from what a civilian is entitled to do and is expected to do. You have no reason to believe if a civilian's house is burglarized that they're not going to say nothing. Versus most neighborhoods, if you burglarize that neighborhood, you're probably going to try and sell the stuff in that neighborhood. They're going to get their shit back. And somebody's going to probably come, what the hell, you know, why are you doing this? Why are you bringing attention here? The distinction, as I said, was just so people understood. Telling is not just directly saying he did it. Telling is doing anything that provides any information, whether it's a lead, whether it's a belief, whether it's circumstantial. You have nothing to say. And a lot of people can run around and say, hey, I'm not on paperwork. Show me the paper. I never told. I didn't tell on him. You can look at the paperwork. All I said was it wasn't mine. All I said was I didn't do it. Yeah, but it was only you and him.
Good point.
So without saying he did it, you said he did it. You gave them the lead to pursue.
Still pleading fifth. You ain't gonna take the rap.
Not living that life anymore, but yet not fully a civilian either because of my upbringing. These are things that we got to consider, because who we hang around, whom we associate with, how we teach our children, how we teach those we're around, has a dire effect on us and the situations we create and the situations and circumstances we have to deal with moving forward. My nephews, cousins, brother, look, if somebody's dirty, they give me the courtesy of letting me know before they put me in that situation. Hey, Unc, I got a gun in the car. I'm just saying, we were going to go to the store real quick, but I got a gun in the car. From that point forward, it's on me if I want to get in that car. Worst case scenario, if something happens, we all know what our responses should be. The easiest and best solution is to just not have to live that way, honestly.
Amen. 100, bro.
And with that, keep moving forward. Small steps, big steps, leaps and bounds. Salutes.
Excellent, man. Excellent, man. Excellent video. Let me get rid of this and go back to the mini screen. Let me see. So I'm gonna go back to my let's get rid of this one real quick. That's a good video, man. I think he touched on a whole lot of key points, man. And one of the key things I think that was important to understand is that even though there's distinctive measures in how you calculate someone's talent is talent, man. If you give any information that could be investigated, probe, or corroborate information, it doesn't matter if there's 100 people corroborating that same information. If you provide and concur, you know what I'm saying, it's going to be considered dry stitching, telling, and basically giving up information. You know, sometimes people get on YouTube and they get loose-lipped in what they speak about, yet they want to be labeled, you know, that they're not, you know what I'm saying, they're not telling anything. Basically, if you're putting names, situations, locations, whether it's fucking a case they've already had done, you know, you're giving substance to any future cases about who, what, where, when, why of that person is. Now, there's some people who walk a very good line in doing so, and I say Biggie's one of them, and Dubs. You know what I'm saying? They really don't mention names. The only time I've ever heard Dubs ever mention really anybody's names was when he mentioned Boxer Enriquez. Other than that, neither one of them really mention names. They'll mention people that they know without putting their statuses at times. I mean, Biggie does, but they don't go into details of who, what, where, when, why. Sometimes, you know, you can read between the lines in knowing who they're talking about, but and those are classic examples. You know, I mean, them two right there are like probably the only channels on here that don't dry snitch or give up any information. And that's just the truth of it, man. You know, I always keep it 100 and keep it real. I'm over here. I know it's not going to affect it. A lot of things we talk about, it's not going to affect anybody. But if you want to be looked at in only one dimension, one limelight, as okay, I didn't prove you, then you got to be straight across, not saying shit. You can't say, "Oh, I'm not going to go there because I don't want to," when you already said too much. You know, it's just point blank. I didn't know what to expect with this. It's kind of funny as I did a video on Real Talk about this yesterday. It's because some of the comments I see sometimes, man, I'm like, you know what? When people are talking about some of these cases and situations, people are telling. That's my personal opinion, but that's just my perspective. You don't have to agree with me, but I'm entitled to say how I feel. And I don't put nobody's names or, titles or label anybody, man. That's just my opinion on things, man. And people are gonna have a difference of opinion on that, maybe. And like the bottom line, I remember boxers said this a long time ago. There's no different layers to this. Telling's telling, and that's the truth. With that said, this is the Convict's reaction, man. Sorry about the audio and video in the beginning. I'm going to learn how to do this a little bit better. I'm going to start focusing on other channels, a couple Southside channels, a couple East Coast channels, some videos, and I'm not going to just be focusing on North Daniel channels or stuff that's kind of relevant here. I'm going to be mixing this shit up a lot, man. And, like I said, this video I didn't really prepare for, but I wanted to do it raw because I think sometimes my best stuff when it comes to dealing with people that converse like Biggie with their thinking is when I do it raw. Because then I'll overthink it. If it's raw, I'm going to come raw. Anyways, Flacco Convict's reaction. Hope you guys have a good one.